Happy World Book Day, everyone. Welcome to the annual, as has become tradition for World Book Day, our annual World Book Day Slam. Sadly, Miss Huntley cannot join us. She's not well. Hello, Miss Huntley. Give her a wave. Miss Huntley's at home watching. Obviously not right now. She will be catching up watching. But she will appreciate hello. And I should point out Miss Huntley has been very kindly bought Miss Rio and I some World Book Day gifts. She's given me Alan Bennett's Pandemic Diaries, which is, as you might think, is him explaining what he did during the pandemic, during lockdown. And The Amazing Adventures of Cavalier and Clay, which I'm very much looking forward to reading. We were indeed. So, yeah, I've been hearing great things about it. So thank you, Miss Huntley. Sorry you can't join us. As you can see, I am dressed as Gandalf the Grey for World Book Day. We've had lots of great costumes around. Did anyone go to any of the lunchtime story corners that were going on at lunchtime today? No? Oh, they were really good.
I went to a club.
You went to a club? Ah, you could have sacked off that club. Just for World Book Day as a special one-off. I didn't really say that. Yeah, we had some great stuff with Harry. We had Fantastic Mr. Fox being read in here. And we had some sci-fi. We had Winnie the Pooh being read. You missed out. It was a treat.
It was nice.
So, yeah. And now we're going to conclude with World Book Day. And as I said, it's the annual slam. Now, the way this works, for those of you who don't know, you've got 5 minutes, an absolute maximum of 5 minutes to pitch a book of your choice and convince us all to read it. And when your time runs out, you will hear this sound. Okay? There we go. So Miss Rio is on the clock, and I guess I'll be on the clock for everyone else. Yeah. So I'm gonna start us off. So do you want to start timing me?
Yeah.
Right.
You girls can look at it as well, so you can see when 5 minutes is up, and you can do the buzzer. Okay.
Can you see? Okay, there, girls. Do you want to? I don't know if you want to sort of.
Yeah.
There we go. That might be better. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. You want to start me?
3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about The Truth is a Cave in the Black Mountains by Neil Gaiman. Now, I'm sure you've all heard of Neil Gaiman. Neil Gaiman is probably my favourite author, and he's known for very elaborate flights of fantasy, lots of wonder, lots of magic. This one does deal with that, but it's actually quite earthy and brutal and starkly realistic. It's set in Scotland, in the Hebrides, in the Highlands, and as it suggests, there's a quest involved, going to a cave that's in the Black Mountains to discover the truth. Now, it's a very dark story, but what works about it is that it's written... Now, he's very well known for graphic novels and for novel. It's written in a mix of pictures and words. The actual tagline says, "A tale of travel and darkness with pictures of all kinds." Okay? And you can see that, there you go, starts off. And it's like a mixture of, paintings, beautiful watercolour paintings, little cartoon style with speech bubbles, plus big blocks of text. Okay? Now, the basic story is about a man... He's a dwarf, basically. Highlands dwarf, if you like, wearing a kilt. And he's been told about this cave in the Black Mountains where there is gold. And he doesn't know where it is, so he has to find a guide. And he's looking for a particular man to show him that he's heard about called McInnes. And there's a particular reason he's picked this guy called McInnes. And as it becomes apparent, the cave is not necessarily going to give him the treasure he's seeking. It's going to give him some other kind of truth. Okay? And in his afterword to this book, Neil Gaiman says, "The Black Mountains are the black coolings in Skye." You all heard of Skye? The Isle of Skye, off the coast of Scotland, which is known as the Winged Isles, or perhaps the Misty Isle, because it's a very mysterious place. There is a cave there, they say, where gold is to be found. And all it will mean if you go there and take some of that gold is that you will become a little more evil. Okay, so that gives you... So it's a very dark story. I was rereading it earlier, and it's actually... It does take a very dark turn towards the end. And when I actually saw one of the pictures was very... Oh, my God. It sort of, made my heart drop. It was a very, very, very dark, very stark kind of illustration of, the darkness the main character is going through as he goes on his quest to seek out the gold. And my hat is falling off. I'm getting so excited. So, yeah. So, now... Neil Gaiman, I'm sure you've all read some Neil Gaiman. You've all heard of Coraline, that's another very dark one. You've all heard of The Graveyard Book, Sandman, American Gods. So he does specialise in dark stuff, but they do kind of, there's light elements to it, where this is pure horror. And another good thing I like about Neil Gaiman is that he draws on lots of traditions, lots of myths from different cultures, including, as is the case here, Scotland. Okay, so that's my recommendation. Neil Gaiman, The Truth is a Cave in the Black Mountains. How did I do?
So that is about 2 minutes 50 seconds.
There you go, that's the way to do it. Thank you very much, everyone. All right, who would like to go next? We got any volunteers? Oh, we had a hand straight up over there. So I'm going to swap places with you.
I'll probably run over, but you know.
That's what the buzzer's for.
That's what the buzzer's for. Just stop you running
Yeah.
over. There we go.
So,
Oh, hang on.
Oh, are we going?
Give us a chance.
3, 2.
Go.
So, my favourite books are His Dark Materials. Okay, some people don't like them, but I think they're the best books ever. And 3 reasons why you should read them are, so 1, they've got a bit of everything in them. So even if like you really don't like adventure stories, you would still kind of enjoy it if you read it, because it's got lots of other twists and turns to it. Also, it gets you thinking, because if you just read a book and it was about like kind of normal life, like set in this time and like set with normal people and normal characters, then it wouldn't really get you thinking as much as this one does, because this is set in a parallel universe and it's about a girl called Lyra, and as she like goes on an adventure through worlds, she also in her world there's an Oxford. It's like exactly the same, but part of your soul is a demon, which is resembles an animal on your shoulder, and when they settle, when you become an adult, it just shows your personalities. So I like that concept, because if you walk around with, you say, a lion, then it shows people without even talking to you that you're a fierce person and you're really proud. But if you walk around with a mouse, you say, then it would say you were quite shy and timid, and it tells a lot about a person. So my favourite character is
Lyra?
yeah, but also I like Miss Coulter, because because she has, you keep rethinking her. So when I first started the book, I thought she was like the best character. She was like so nice. Then the book took a turn, and then it took another turn, and then it took another turn. So you just keep rethinking her, and you have so many different thoughts about her. And at the end, when you read the end book, it just shows that like she's not all that bad.
There's an unexpected twist into it.
Yeah.
So have you got a favourite, because it's a trilogy, isn't it? Have you got a favourite one?
I like The Subtle Knife.
And why do you like the Subtle Knife?
Because, so I like the first one, but I don't think with one character, it's like the ending was a bit, I needed more. So then with The Subtle Knife, I thought when they added Will in, I think it really like tied the story together, and it really like, because if you go on an adventure by yourself, it's a bit like not that like amazing, but like if you go on an adventure with other people, then it's better. And also like everyone said her bond with Roger was like amazing. I don't think it was, because like they were too nice to each other. And like they
But
did,
they're best friends.
I know, but they did whatever the other person wanted them to do. So they didn't really like.
Not enough conflict for you.
Yeah, and no, they weren't really like. They were following each other, but they.
Don't worry about the clock. Just keep going.
They were following like what each other did, and they would listen to what each other did. But with her and Will, like they'd have their own ways, and they'd like like kind of have like a mini argument about like what they were gonna choose and what would be the best for them.
You found it more interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, you've got about 50 seconds left. Is there anything else you want to say?
These are the best books ever. Read them. The starting isn't good, but when you get into it, it's good. And if if you get really bored, then just watch the series. So yeah, okay.
All right, thank you, Annabelle. Well done. Okay, just to reassure everybody, okay, we will give you a 1 minute warning.
Yeah.
Okay, so just don't worry about the clock. When there's 1 minute left, we will say 1 minute.
The buzzer's not going to make you jump.
No. Right. Sienna, would you like to go next?
Go in a bit later.
want to go a bit later? Okay, you want to need a bit more time. Okay, do you want to go next? Yeah. Okay. So that's fine. That's it there as well. Doesn't matter. I can see we've got a lovely book in our hand. So we've had some dark stuff so far.
Yes.
So I think this will lighten the mood a little bit. Okay. Right. You ready?
Yeah.
Go.
So, Wanda by R.J. I think Palacios, how you say it, is one of my favourite books ever, and I find that really hard to say because I like a lot of books, but it's one of my favourite books ever. It's about this, I think he's 10-year-old boy called August Pullman, but Augie for short, and he has a kind of severe facial kind of disfigurement, so he looks a bit different to everyone else, and because of all his surgeries and hospital visits and just his health in general, he hasn't been to school before, but then his parents decide to send him to school for the first time in 5th grade, which I think is year 5, year 6, yes, year 6 here, and he's never been to school before, so the whole book's kind of him navigating through bullies and insults, but then also finding some real friends who stick by him and help him through all the hard times in his life. And the book's told by different kind of main characters, each couple chapters, and I really enjoy that because you kind of get different perspectives on what each character's really thinking, and then you can kind of understand why they act the way they do and why they're mean or nice towards Augie in the book. I think my favourite character is probably Summer, because on the first day of school where everyone's gossiping about Augie and whispering about him and being mean to him, she just out of the blue just sits down with him at lunch and it's just really nice to him. No one told her to, no one asked her to, but she just did it, and I just think that was such an amazing thing to do when everyone, knowing that everyone would gossip about her in turn. I just think that it was so nice of her to do that, and that's why she's really my favourite character of the whole book. There's also, I think it's kind of a sequel but kind of not. It's a book that's written after. It's told from the perspective, there's 3 chapters in it, 3 kind of sections, and then one's told from the perspective of Julian, which is the main bully who's really horrible and mean towards Augie, and then one's told from Jack, who's one of Augie's best friends, and then the other one's told from the perspective of Charlotte, who's a nice girl but doesn't make an effort to be overly nice. She's nice, but
somewhere in between.
Who was told to be August's buddy at the start of the year. So it's kind of a sequel but kind of not. It just kind of gives more insight into I found it really interesting to reading that to kind of understand why Julian did what he did to Augie and said what he did. And yeah, this is just it's an amazing book. It's not a really difficult read, but it's just really, really good, and it made me cry. There's also a film. The film made me cry as well. It's just a really,
made you
really
cry in a good way.
Oh yeah.
Happy crying.
Yeah, but it's just a really good book, and the film's great as well.
You got a favourite character? You got a favourite scene? Is it the scene where Charlotte comes in? Oh, sorry, Summer comes and sits with him.
I think my favourite scene's probably the one at the end.
The
very end, that
you
one.
can't say what
I'm
it
not
is,
going to spoil it, but
Yeah.
it's just a really, really good scene.
I know the one at the end.
Yeah.
Have you all read or seen the movie of Wonder? Yeah. Well, unfortunately for those at home, we can't say either. But you're the one she's talking about then. Yeah. Anything else you want to say? You got a minute and a half left.
Just read it. It's really, really good.
All right. Well done. Well done. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
R.J. Palacio has written other things, so yeah, there is Wonder and Augie and Me, but she has written a new book that's out, if anyone's interested. She wrote a book called Pony.
I've read that one.
You read that one? Did you like that one as well?
Yeah, it's good, but I don't think it could talk on Wonder.
I guess
Have you
Wonder's
read
one of
White
the
Bird?
kindest.
White Bird is so good.
Is that the new? There is a newer. Is that
No,
the
it's
newest
not
one?
that new.
Oh, it's older.
Yeah,
Before
it's
Wonder?
like the war one, about the war.
Oh,
And Julian's grandma.
Julia's grandmother.
It's so sad.
I haven't heard
I
of
cried.
it.
They all just make me cry, basically.
I know,
Good,
right?
Yeah.
It's all part of the Wonder universe then,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Ah,
Okay, very good.
interesting.
Right, okay. Hannah, you got a nice weighty tome there in your
A
hand.
lot to talk about.
Right, you ready?
Yep.
Your time starts now.
I have Great Circle by Maggie Shipstead. I read it October last year, and I think it became one of my favourite books within a few pages. 5 stars on Goodreads, so that says a lot. It's about a female pilot who breaks loads of like records. A great circle, basically, it's like when you go all the way around like the diameter of the Earth, and it's really difficult to do because like the weather conditions are really difficult. It's set when like planes don't have as good technology as they do now, so it really was like an amazing feat to do all this stuff. And it doesn't just track her later life, it's through even her mother's backstory, which is really interesting, and through her early childhood and how she navigated like Prohibition America, and did some illegal things to get money because she realised from pretty early on that all she wanted to do was fly. But what I think is really interesting about this book is there's like a parallel storyline of an actress who is making a film about her. So you get this other feminist angle to it, which, who's like trying to figure out what her life meant years later. I think that's really good. And the writing in this book is just amazing. Like sort of how humans can face against the vastness of nature and what it means to try and like explore new technology and like what that's worth. It discusses loads of really important themes like mental health and art, feminism, all that kind of thing. And I really like books when they're set at a specific place and time, kind of like historical fiction, because I feel like you learn quite a lot. If it's alright, I want to read a bit.
Absolutely. Got plenty of time left.
With the right instruments, you have a fighting chance of levelling out, even if the cloud goes all the way down and brushes the earth like a Marbu helm of a diaphanous white robe worn by God. But getting right with the horizon isn't easy. The sky is full of traps and temptation. Pilots report that their instruments went haywire in the clouds, though of course they didn't. The pilot's own bodies are lying, not the dials. Your inner ear gets comfortable in the spiral. Even if you've extricated yourself, when the instruments are saying you are flying straight and level again, because you are, your ear begs to differ. You're the blindfolded man in the rotating chair. The fluid inside the labyrinth is still spiralling, and the tiny little sensory hairs insist you are too. Your ear begs you to throw the controls over to make the spinning stop. Sometimes pilots listen, put themselves right back into a spiral. An oblivion of mist hides the earth, the truth. It's difficult to believe the gauges, the array of soulless little dashboard windows over the insistence of the body, which is as sure as you live and breathe that you are funneling down into death. But you're not. You're dizzy inside a cloud, that's all. Yeah, it's like a super dangerous thing that I don't think we really appreciate. I appreciated it because I was reading this book on a plane, which was not a good experience. But yeah, there's so many things we take for granted. It's just amazing. And yeah, the descriptions, because you're flying by yourself for hours, you really get to observe the world around you. For context, I love summer. Like, I never wear tights because I'm always like pretending it's summer. But a lot of this book is set in Alaska, and I was just like dreaming of like going there and just being in like the cold because it's so absorbing. So yeah, and like the descriptions in this book are amazing.
Yes,
that's the main thing.
The labyrinth, that was beautiful.
That's cool, yeah.
Definitely.
The clouds, and there's so many like challenges she faces. Like her plane breaks down every other flight, pretty much, and she's always like, yeah, and she manages to fix it and all that. And during the war, the Second World War, she volunteers to deliver like supplies to people in need.
1 minute.
Oh, and even though like they didn't believe women could do that at the time, it also explores queer relationships and how that was looked at the time. Overall, I would definitely recommend this book to pretty much everyone. The first bit is a little bit confusing, just because it's the backstory of like her mother, and you're like, what's going on? And then, but once you get into it, you can't stop. So please, everyone, read this book. I think that's all.
All right, excellent. 4.5 minutes.
Ooh.
Everything's been very well so far. Thank you, Hannah. That sounds wonderful, that book.
Yeah, that does sound good.
It's like, I like what you said about the nature and how it's overwhelming, and it sounds like, have you heard of the sublime? You know, where you just sort of get overwhelmed and how you're smallest in the universe. Sounds beautiful. So I can see why you like that one so much. Really good. Brilliant. Okay, Sienna, you ready now?
Yeah.
Good stuff. It doesn't matter if you haven't got it with you.
I haven't got it with me.
We can grab it from the shelf for you if you want, if it's on the shelf, that is.
There's two things I'm debating talking about.
Think of
How
which one.
official does it have to be?
Well, I mean, mean, if you like, you can have a go. If you feel you can do one in 2.5 minutes, you can do them both.
Okay.
We'll have a go and do it now. Let's see how you get on with the first
Extra.
one. And if it looks like it's going on quite long, then. Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Time starts now.
I know I already talked about Percy Jackson a couple weeks ago. As soon as I stopped, I realised I had a lot more to say. I wore green today. I was trying to find something that was pink, but unfortunately I don't have a pink and green jumper. Otherwise, I would have been Alex Fierro from Magnus Chase, which is a spin-off of Percy Jackson because it's Annabeth Chase's cousin's story. I really like the trilogy of books. I think we all know how much I talked about Percy Jackson last week. But Magnus Chase is quite special. I think at that point, Rick Riordan, however you want to say his name, had time to improve his writing style and branch out with the characters in terms of diversity and where he could take the story, because he branched out into the Norse pantheon instead of just staying with Greek and in the second series Roman. It was very interesting how he connects things, because although Percy Jackson wasn't in, technically he wasn't a main character, they still make a little appearance. I like Alex Fierro because it was the last book I read before lockdown when I was in year 10, and I read it, and she is a gender fluid shape-shifting child of Loki.
Okay. Keep going.
Oh yeah. I think they are a very cool character and very badass. The main ship in Magnus Chase is Magnus and Alex, which I was quite mind blown by and very excited to find out that it was canon. Spoilers if you guys haven't read it. I'm not sure if you have. Not yet. I recommend it. Some people are just like, oh yeah, it's just a spin-off. You don't need to read it. I think it deserves to have 5 books instead of 3. I think it has been robbed. But anyway, yeah, it's a very good book series. I was going to go as Alex, so I'm halfway there. I didn't have a pink jumper. But yeah, I think you should read it.
Okay, that was about 2.5 minutes, so do you want to...
Right, the next one.
So the next one is not as official. It is a fan fiction, but I believe that it has the same weight as a book does, if not more. I think self-published or fan fiction that obviously you write yourself has as much impact on you as written, published books that traditionally they have. The one I wanted to talk about was a sci-fi AU called Human Error, and I've talked about the humans are space orcs kind of thing before, probably quite a while ago now, where on Tumblr and different sites there's this thing where humanity as a whole being viewed from an outside perspective. So if there were aliens to exist, sentient life, it's all the world building around it, how humans would be seen as the outliers within space, how our sun is so small and we're technically not meant to exist, how us as a species compared to what we see as alien, what makes it alien and what makes us different. It's Human Error is a series where a human from Earth is abducted, taken into space. Humanity is seen as lesser. They don't really understand us. We're seen as aggressive, dangerous. The human crashes the spaceship they were on, sneaks aboard another one, and shenanigans happen with a human trying to survive in a spaceship with 3 aliens having no clue there is a human that is notoriously a death creature on board their ship. And then when they're found out, It's everything that happens and discovering the differences and the similarities between everyone. And I just think space is a very cool concept, and the world building that happens in not traditional sci-fi is very cool.
Oh, that was basically on.
I think you did it pretty much on. So, and you did too. Let's. I mean, round of applause.
Yeah.
You actually did it. Well done, Sienna. Good stuff.
Thank you.
Always, well, yeah, a bit of fan fiction. There's nothing wrong with a bit of fan fiction.
Bit of sci-fi, yeah.
Yeah, a bit of sci-fi. It's a bit different. Holly, you got something for us? Yeah. You wanna?
Yeah. Doesn't have to be 5 minutes. Remember, it can
Yeah,
just be 10 seconds.
Yeah, if you can do that, yeah, 20 seconds, go for it. Okay, so, clock's ticking.
Okay, I know we like touched on it a bit. I don't remember if anyone actually talks about it, but Six of Crows, the duology, it is so good. It's the second book in the universe, which is called the Grishaverse. Sorry, the second series. The first one is a trilogy called Shadow and Bone. And that's a prequel, which is set, I think, 2 years before Six of Crows. I think one of the things I really like about it is the amazing world building they have, because like you have like all these different series taking place in it, and it's like it's not set on Earth, so I don't think the world has a name itself, but it has all these different countries and different religions and languages, and the way that they all work together as like an entirely new world is so like, it's so well done in my opinion. Like, it's so realistic, and the fact that they're all entirely new is just amazing. So Six of Crows, the book, is about this group of 6 people who live in a city called Ketterdam. And one of them is like, so the main character is called Kaz. He's like this big crime guy. He like steals loads of stuff and like has a big like gambling den and everything like that. And he and 5 other people basically go on a quest to a place called the Ice Court, which is in a different country, and it's meant to be like this impenetrable fortress guarded by some of the most feared warriors in the universe, and they have to try and steal something from that. And then, but there's lots of different things, because then all of them have the different motivations and all of the different characters. So all of them, apart from one of the crows, gets like perspective throughout it, so you get to see all of their different motivations for going to do it and what's happening to each of them like throughout it, and like you get to see their different opinions, which is just really good because you're really invested in all of the characters and all of the relationships and all of the different plot lines that are happening, and it's great. And then there's also another duology, which is called the King of Scars duology, which is set just after it, which is really good. It has perspectives from some people from Shadow and Bone and some people from Six of Crows. And yeah, some people don't like that. I don't know why. It's absolutely amazing. It's my favourite duology out of the 3, but it's great. So yeah, recommend that series.
Alright, nice one. That was 3 minutes, 15 seconds.
And you talked about 3 different.
Again, yeah, people are doing very well. Maybe we change this from 5 minutes to 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't know, because people are doing very well so far. But thank you, Ollie. Anyone else read those? They are very popular, and they've had the Netflix. Yeah, you like them too?
Yeah.
So we got a few fans. Okay, so yeah, must have something to it. I believe we only have Miss Rio left now.
Just me, yeah.
Just you.
Okay.
Right, you ready?
Yep. Alright, I've got a book called A Lady's Guide to Fortune Hunting by Sophie Irwin, and this is basically a sort of modern, it's not set now, it's set in the Regency era, but a modern take on the Jane Austen books. It's very funny, it's witty, the main characters are all just silly but have a lot of backbone in the same way that a lot of Austen's characters do, and it's just a lot of fun. And it's about, the main character is a girl called Kitty Talbot, and she has found herself an orphan and the older sister of, I think she's got 5 other sisters. And it turns out her parents had absolutely no money and nothing to leave her, so she realises she needs to find a fortune, because at this time period women basically had no rights unless they married into money. The house would go to someone else and they would have nowhere to live. And she basically links up with someone she knows in the city, a family friend of her mother, to basically go fortune hunting during the season, which is when women would go and socialise to find a husband. And she's quite conniving about it. She finds out as much as she can about all the different people there, and she wants to basically single out the richest man in the room and the person that people like the least, so she feels less guilty about basically like taking his fortune. But she's actually a really nice character, and you completely understand why she's doing it, because she's got all these younger sisters that she needs to kind of help through life, and she feels guilty about it the whole time, but she also knows that she just has to do it because she has no other choice. Yeah, so it's really funny. It's just really witty, and yes, all the characters are really good. I'll read a little bit of it for you so you can kind of understand some of the comedy in it. "You're not going to marry me," Miss Talbot repeated disbelievingly. "Afraid not," Mr. Charles Linfield replied, his expression set in a kind of bracingly apologetic grimace, the sort one might wear when confessing you could no longer attend a friend's birthday party rather than ending a 2-year engagement. Kitty stared at him, uncomprehending. Catherine Talbot, Kitty to her family and closest acquaintances, was not much used to incomprehension. In fact, she was well known amongst her family and Biddington at large for her quick mind and talent for practical problem-solving. Yet, in this moment, Kitty felt quite at a loss. She and Charles were to be married. She had known it for years, and it was now not to be. What should one say, what should one feel in the face of such news? Everything was changed, and yet Charles still looked the same, dressed in clothes she had seen him in 1,000 times before, with that dishevelled style only the wealthy could get away with, an intricately embroidered waistcoat that was badly misbuttoned, a garishly bright cravat that had been mangled rather than tied. He ought at least, Kitty thought, staring at that awful cravat with a rising sense of indignation, to have dressed for the occasion. So, yeah, you kind of understand it's got that sort of like Regency wit, and
Yes.
it's an extremely easy read. I read it in the summer and when it was really, really hot last year, and just
So a good
yeah.
light, not light, but a good sort of summer.
Yeah.
The mood is appropriate.
The mood is light and it's fun, but there's also a lot
There's a
about
serious message as well. a serious
yeah,
thing running through.
exactly. There's a lot
Sorry.
about kind of being a woman in this time period and the rights she had and how you might, get ahead in life, based on sort of the things that come upon you. Things happen and how to fix them. But there's a lot about sibling relationships and female friendship a lot, and there's also romance along the way. Of course there is. It's a Regency romance.
Which is something we can all identify with, of course, sibling relationships and friendships and
Yes,
whatnot.
exactly. And if you like Bridgerton, it's that kind of thing. It's all about the season and lots of nice clothes and lots of dancing and parties as well.
As a guilty pleasure of many, isn't it, Bridget?
Exactly. So yeah, that's mine.
Right, it's real. 3 minutes 50, in case you're
Uh-huh.
wondering. So, right, okay, I'll just wrap things up. Obviously, a short Litsoc today with...
Yes, you can. We'll swap.
Short Litsoc today, 'cause obviously we are missing a few people, including Miss Huntley. And I thought, because Miss Huntley is absent, I thought I'd just do this for her, because I think most of you have been to the assembly, and you might have noticed Miss Huntley or me, when she wasn't there, ending with some sort of moving and thought-provoking words. Now, obviously, World Book Day is fun. We've had a lot of fun today, haven't we? We had various things going on that have been a lot of enjoyable. But, reading is important for all sorts of reasons. And Miss Huntley, I'm a very poor substitute for her, but I will do my best to do justice to her words, explains it very beautifully. Now, she talks about a Ukrainian writer called Andrei Kirkov. Okay, now he's well known to British readers for his creation of The Lost and Lonely, including Misha the Penguin in his book Death and the Penguin. Kirkov's life, like millions of Ukrainians, changed utterly last year when he had to leave his home and go into exile, following a well-worn path of many Russian and Ukrainian writers before him. This week is World Book Day in the UK, now home to many refugees and migrants from both Ukraine, Russia, Syria and other oppressed or war-torn countries. Let us remember them and all other readers across the world today as we celebrate books and the ongoing battle to write and read in freedom. So thank you, Miss Huntley, for those very, very uplifting and wise words. Thank you, everyone, for World Book Day. Happy World Book Day again. Looking forward to the next edition. Next week we have Mr. Metz coming to speak to us. We have a special guest, so there's something to look forward to. Until then, take care, keep reading, and bye. Take care. Give the camera away, everyone. Bye. See you soon.